Hola, bienvenidos to el Podcast del Profe Palacios, a podcast about ethnic studies, education, and issues affecting our Latino students and communities. I am your host, Dr. Agustín Palacios, professor of Chicano Latino Studies for more than 15 years at the community college. In this podcast, we will talk about how ethnic studies is more than an academic subject. It is a practice grounded in community love and social justice. The analysis and conversations I will provide will be informed by many years of research and also by my experiences growing up in the U.S.-Mexico border and in the Salinas Valley. I will bring different guests to share their stories and academic journey. We would hear from professors, students, and community organizers. And sometimes I will provide the occasional political piece, pues, porque I get angry and I need to say something. Así que ponganse las pilas y siganme los buenos. Hello friends, I hope you're doing well. I wanted to share with you an OpEd, an opinion piece I recently wrote that I plan to submit to a couple places for publication. Hopefully it gets accepted, but I thought, I'm giving this podcast thing a try. Why not just practice, test the mics and such, and also share it with you. So I'm going to read it to you. The title of this piece is Don't Listen to Trump. Immigrants Make the Wheels of Our Economy Turn. When I was born, neither of my parents was a U.S. citizen, and only one had legal status to be in the country. My parents knew that being born in this country would mean having better opportunities, such as getting a college education. This is the hope of every immigrant parent, that through their sacrifice and hard work, their children will have a chance to a better life than the one they have. But if Trump has his way, children born today to undocumented immigrants like I was would be denied U.S. citizenship and potentially become a people without a nation or place to call home. Xenophobia and nativism are not new to this nation. We have been here before. In 1898, the U.S. tried to deny citizenship to Wong Kim Ark, who was born in the U.S. to Chinese parents who at the time were barred from attaining citizenship. All Chinese immigrants were brought to work but could not apply for naturalization. Their labor was wanted, but not their membership in this country. The case was taken to the U.S. Supreme Court, and despite the widespread anti-Chinese racism of the time, the courts ruled in favor of Wong Kim Ark, making it abundantly clear that anybody born in this country is a U.S. citizen, regardless of the parent's immigration status. This is what the 14th Amendment of the Constitution guarantees, period. Trump is a bully that goes after entire families. If things go his way, this administration will carry on a mass deportation that will separate families, cause irreparable harm to children, and hurt our communities and our economy. We should not allow this to happen. Trump is a runaway train, and no one seems to be willing to pump the brakes. He has already started deporting students and professors because they oppose his policies, such as Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. The Trump administration and the entire Republican Party has gone after green card holders like Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate who is married to a U.S. citizen. His wife is expecting their first child, whom he might not even get to meet. The administration is trying to deport him because he engaged in constitutionally protected free speech, which is what peaceful protest is. Khalil has not been charged with a crime. He's simply being targeted because Trump is too fragile to tolerate dissent. Trump recently invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1789 to deport Latino immigrants and asylum seekers, and is defying the courts who made it clear that he's abusing the law. The act has only been used 3 times during our history, all during a time of war. Once during World War II to put Japanese immigrants and Japanese U.S. citizens, into concentration camps. But law and morality don't seem to be real concerns for this administration. Trump recently deported a sick U.S. child with brain cancer, despite the child undergoing critical medical treatment. It is a lie when Republicans say that Trump is only going after hardened criminals or just criminals. We're getting reports that many, perhaps the majority, of undocumented immigrants that have been detained or deported have no criminal record. But what is this all really about? The Republican Party doesn't really want to get rid of all undocumented immigrants and reduce the number of immigrants that come into this country. They are too important to our economy. Again, this administration is using immigrants as scapegoats to hide their own failures, their failure to create a true democratic government that takes care of its people. But the U.S. doesn't really want to get rid of all immigrants. It never has, because immigrants make the wheels of this economy turn. Ever since the U.S. colonized the U.S. Southwest, it has relied on Mexican, Latino, and Asian labor who were not seen then as bad hombres. They were recognized as essential workers filling an important gap in our labor force. The problem is that Mexican and Latino immigrant workers have not been seen as full human beings. That's why they use the words like illegal alien, right? And worse words, of course. Harsh immigration laws and enforcement has done away with the reliance of U.S. employers on Latino immigrant labor. Has not done away, sorry. Right? We still heavily rely on Latino immigrant labor. What these laws and policies do is create the condition of illegality and of vulnerability, which facilitates their exploitation and abuse. Undocumented workers are the perfect worker for greedy employers because they have less rights than citizens, and they are also the perfect scapegoat for politicians who need someone to blame for their failures and shortcomings. The U.S. government continuously falls short of living up to its responsibility of taking care of its citizens, of providing enough jobs and housing and healthcare and education and all those things necessary for people to live plentiful lives. And the reason it fails is because it keeps siding with the rich and powerful oligarchs that continue to increase their influence over our government, especially its economic and tax policy. Blaming immigrants is a distraction. It is a diversion tactic so that we don't pay attention to what really is going on. Don't fall for this cheap trick. Immigrants don't control our economy, our economic policy, or make decisions over tariffs or taxes or trade or how much we spend on the military and defense contractors. So deporting immigrants will not make us safer. Study after study show that immigrants commit less crime than U.S.-born citizens. Even his claims about drug smuggling, the great majority, is false. The great majority of those apprehended at the border for drug smuggling are U.S. citizens. A community is safer when it has jobs and housing and families feel secure about their future. The truth is that we need immigrants. The U.S. would suffer a big population decline without the constant flow of immigrants. Our fertility rate has been steadily declining for the past decades, and the U.S.-born population keeps getting older on average. When the population declines, we lose workers and taxpayers and jobs. We need immigrants to keep working those construction, restaurant, hotel, landscaping, and other jobs. Immigrants come at the prime of their lives. They're healthier and work for many years before they retire. We need immigrants so that they can spend their hard-earned money buying products, paying rent, fixing their property, or starting small businesses. Immigrants help our economy grow. They are not the ones crashing it. Trump is, with his trade war and the mass layouts of government workers and defunding programs that help our communities and our schools. And it's all being done in order to pass another set of trillion-dollar tax cuts for the rich who do not pay their fair share and what they owe. And what they truly owe our society and our workers and our people who allow their wealth to grow. Let's educate ourselves about who really is responsible for our economic insecurity, for our struggle to make a living, and the lack of hope that many of us are feeling about the future. The economy is not a zero-sum game. Don't blame immigrants. where it's not a zero sum game. Where if an immigrant gets a piece of the pie, it means that a U.S. citizen doesn't get a piece of the pie. Immigrants grow the pie. They grow the economy. Immigrants, through their work, through their effort, through their spending, through their taxes, make the wheels of this economy turn, and we cannot do without them. But also, let's remember that we're speaking about families, not just workers. We're speaking about full human beings who are just trying to do their best, are trying to do the best they can with the cards that life have dealt them. Peace, consafos.